Hello, Brother Monroe here. Welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, and today I have a little bit of, well, a response video, possibly a complaint video, depending on how you want to look at it. Welcome to the Soviet battleship that I have designed that is perfectly balanced in the best spiffing Brit style. The Tolstoy Malchik. This, I mean, 91,000 tons, and it only has 12-inch guns. What am I doing? Well, what I'm doing is showing that the game really needs a little bit of balance. Attention, because this is something that you have been able to do for a while. I am playing this on the 1.10 beta. I think this is release candidate 2. But you can do this on pretty much any version of the game. So I have 12-inch guns. I am up against a 100,000 ton H-class battleship. It has 18-inch guns. And really, this should be a no-brainer. Those 18-inch guns should be able to absolutely destroy me, and when they actually hit me I can start talking about what they're doing. I'm just peppering away 12-inch shells. They're not going to do very much. I mean, they do something, you know, got a penetration on the tower there, but it's not really about what I can do, it's about what the enemy ship can do. Miss again. So far it can't do very much, but here it is, firing away. These are nasty weapons, and I chose 18-inch to show this off. You can do it with other weapons as well, because they were historically the largest weapons that were deployed. Yamato had them, and this is something that came up in the Battleship League with a certain ship, and I'm sure you can guess which ship I'm talking about, or which two ships I'm talking about in particular. That had a few issues. So, an 18-inch gun, you would expect, when it finally hits me, to do quite a lot of damage. Yeah. So far they haven't scored any hits, so it's a little hard to talk about. I'm, you know, noodling away, getting the odd hit on the superstructure. I don't have a problem with how the 12-inch guns are performing. They're doing pretty much what I expect. I went through the forward belt there. I think that ship, yeah, has a 7-inch forward belt. Nothing particularly fantastic. And you see that the target lock bug has returned, which is a thing. I did say a long time ago, fix the fact that the game gets overflows. But, oh wow, that was quite a lot of damage actually. Has not been done. Anyway, that does mean that the H-class is closing in. I'm assuming it will eventually get a hit. There we go. Perfect. Oh, it's so minor it didn't even register. Okay, let's turn on low. Just need them to fire back. You notice the rate of fire on those 18s is really low. Nope, missed again. And again. This is all superstructure hits, by the way. Which, if I remember rightly, is 3-inch. Yeah, 3-inch. Bum bum bum. Eventually you will hit me. Please. Ugh, gonna have to get closer. I don't want to get closer, particularly because I wanted to show off them hitting in a reasonable range. I mean, we're very close for battleships of this era anyway, 6 kilometers or something. They scored 1 hit in the whole engagement, which... Oh, there we go, a partial pen. Aft deck, partial pen, 8.2 891 damage, and it hit somewhere over here, I think. That's interesting because my aft deck armor is 0. There is no armor there. None at all. So really it should be an overpen. It should just go right through. But a partial pen makes no sense. And this is something I've noticed in the game, and I've been trying to replicate it for a long time. And you maybe noticed the armor scheme of the Tolstier is a little bit weird. We have an 18-inch main belt, backed up by 2 layers of 9-inch. You may be thinking, how on earth do you do that? That's not possible in game. Well, it is. And I'll show you how in a minute. I've got a 10.7-inch main deck, and then 2 9-inch layers. I've got a little bit of armor on the superstructure, 1.5-inch, just splinter protection, and 18-inch on the contact. So this is not a particularly well-armoured ship. Yes, I do have a high armour quality, 167%, but I should be torn apart by 18-inch guns hitting extended bits of the ship. There's no armour there. They should absolutely ruin the superstructure. Probably the H-class. Let's look at its pen chance. Yeah, it's got a 63.3% chance of penning me, according to the game's calculator. If it could hit me. It does have a slightly better chance to hit now. Nope. Oh no, we did. There we go. Main belt, partial pen 2 damage. Oh, they hit me again. Did like less than 1 damage. And before you ask, oh, overpen and a bit of flooding. What did they hit? The aft belt. Aft belt. There's no armor on the aft belt, so it went right through. Great. 5.5 damage. That's an interesting number, isn't it? Given that these shells have a base damage of, with an AP shell, 3,764.5, which is considerably more than 5. I'm just going to slow up a bit. Interesting. And before you ask, what kind of shells are they using? Well, they're using an 18-inch super heavy triple base TNT4 shell. It's a Cat Ballistic 2 AP, and they've got a base fuse HE. Very... it's a heavy setup, but it's fairly historical setup. Nothing too unusual, but that's a good gun. You know, and the game does say, well, yeah, it should be going 50%. You know, it's not going to go through if it hits the deck. But it just fired there. Aft deck, blocked. I'll point out that the aft deck is 0. Main deck, partial pen. Main deck, partial pen. So it's only hitting me on the deck, despite the fact it says that it has a 77% chance of hitting me on the side. At least that's how I read that. 3 shots, all hitting the deck. Which, of course, it can't do anything about. Meanwhile, I'm shooting back. I'm hitting the belt mainly, which is what you'd expect. What's going on? Like, I've taken now 17 hits from 18-inch guns. 2 penetrating hits. 25 hits we've taken now. Let's have a look at that last salvo. Main belt, overpen. Main belt, overpen. Main belt, overpen. Main belt, pen. So it did actually get a decent set of hits in there. Main belt, pen. 69.8 damage. And I'm still on 97% structure. So not only is the H-class here having a terrible time of it actually trying to get penetrating hits, even though, according to the in-game information, it should really have no... What? Main deck block, main deck block, main deck block. It should really have no problems at all of this kind of very close range fight. even when it does go through, it's doing feckle. I mean, in return, where was that? 12-inch. 12-inch, half-belt pen, 33, half-belt pen, 51. I'm doing roughly the same amount of damage on a pen that he is. And I'm using a 12-inch gun with triple base, dunite, super heavies. I'm using SAP shells and incendiary HE. It's very low pen setup. I don't have a great pen chance, 26%. What is going on? This should not be happening. The H class is down to 72%. I'm still at 96. I'm fine. And this will continue for a long, long time. The H class over there basically can't hurt me. See all the shells bouncing off, which is quite a thing. Yeah, look, main belt pen 31, main belt pen 36. It's just not doing very much, and I can continue this for, well, pretty much forever. Now, would a ship like the Tolstoy here be very good? Not against enemy battleships. It lacks the punch, but likewise, it can't really be sunk by enemy battleships. And those 12-inch guns, yeah, they're very slowly working down the H class here. I should have put some torpedoes on it, because at this range, it just throw like 100 torpedoes into the H class, probably sink it that way. But against cruisers and things, these 12-inch guns, particularly with slightly different setup, can be really, really nasty. Think Alaska class type weaponry. That can be absolutely incredibly useful in the campaign, just taking out destroyers and cruisers and things like that. And yeah, if this thing does come up against a battleship, well, yeah, I can just sit here and take it. 600 meters. 18-inch shells, they don't do anything. They just do not do anything. Like, look at that. And imagine now that I was playing the H class. Imagine you're playing the H class, right? You've closed in because you've seen that this thing has a thick armor. This thing has good armor, by the way. It has well, it's okay, fairly standard 14-inch main belt. Nothing too unusual, historically speaking. It's got good armor quality. All the rest of it, it's a perfectly decent ship, and it's being absolutely obliterated because it thinks the AI is tricked. Because it goes, right, well, I can't go through the deck armor. I need to close and go through the belt armor. But when it does that, it still can't get any sort of serious damage on my ship here. And it's just taken 12-inch shells. Now it's rolling over. Can it still fire? Yeah, it can. Bonk, bonk, bonk. So, what's my point here? Well, I'll show you how I achieved this, and why some of you are thinking, oh, but this is historical, this is what should be happening. The Tolstoy here is using turtleback armor. Now, turtleback isn't the only culprit. I've done some other naughty things with it. However, if you're telling me that a turtleback armored ship like this would be able to just bounce, how many shells are we up to now? Take 102 hits from 18-inch shells at point blank range and still have or what? Oh, 2 compartments slightly flooding. But basically be at full combat capability. You know, we've lost 3.5% of the crew total. That is nothing. All the guns still work. All the engines still work. And we can just take this all day. H-class will probably run out of ammunition before it was able to do anything. And this is a problem. This is an extreme example, but you do see it. And you can also do this with cruisers as well, which is quite the thing. And in a comment, people say, why aren't you using turtleback armor in your campaigns? Well, this is why. Because you can build ships like this that are completely invulnerable. And before you say, oh yeah, but someone could just come along and torpedo it. No. Torpedoes are not effective against this ship either. And I'll show why that is in a moment. But yeah, torpedoes don't work against this ship either. And with good luck getting them in range, those 12-inch guns will murder cruisers quite happily. But yeah, look, we're just happily blapping away at the H-class. And because we have quite low pen shells, even when we hit the deck at close range, notice how we are actually getting penetrations. So, yeah, definitely some things not right. But that's enough of that. Let's have a look at the... well, first of all, I'll take you through the ship I was using, the H-class. Yeah, she's not fast or anything like that. She's not a particularly special ship. But she did have all the components filled out. She had modern armor. She had barbette, anti-flash 5, top-end anti-torpedo protection. She was using all or nothing armor scheme. I let the game choose the armor. I just rounded the values out. But, you know, it's a bit light. But 14.7 is 14-inch main belt with 10-inch main deck with layers. You know, it's not the best. But if you look at historical values of armor and things, it's not particularly far off. 18-inch guns were just stock German 18-inch, not adjusted. They were the 56 caliber guns. You know, TNT, triple base, cap ballistic, 2 shells, all very, very standard. And you look at these guns in the designer, and you think, wow, those are nasty. 124.3 inches of pen at close range, and even at close range, they'll go through 18-inch base of deck. That's pretty good. I mean, yes, I am running around with like 160% armor quality, but 18.4 divided by what was it? Call it 2.6. That's still 7 inches of deck pen, even at point blank range. So you'd think, well, that's pretty good. But no, welcome to the nonsense. There's the Tolstoy Malchik. So, first of all, I only had many bulkheads. Standard crew quarters, no changes to beam or draft. I haven't done anything fancy like that. You can make this more extreme by increasing both of these, or in fact going wide beam, shallow draft, because this makes the game hit your decks way more often. But nope, just standard beam and draft, didn't do anything fancy. What have we done? Well, first of all, we've used semi-oil. Seems weird, but basically you're using coal as armor, and the stat that we're interested in is resistance. So we get 2% resistance. Plus 2%, I should say. I use gas turbines just because it doesn't really matter. I've got the diesel-electric auxiliary system. So one... You'll maybe notice I've got a lot of systems on this ship, and I'll explain how that is possible later on. But we've got all of this, but most importantly, we have anti-torpedo 5 for another 7.5% floatability, and 5.5% resistance buff. We have triple bottom for 7.5% resistance buff, and we have turtleback for a 15% resistance buff. Now, all of that combined gives us a total resistance of 172.2. This is using the Russian Super Battleship 1, which has the highest base resistance in the game of 109. But because we've stacked so many resistance buffs on top, we now have a pretty scary 98% reduction to all gun damage. So those 18-inch shells with their AP shell could do, well, let's call it 4,000 damage on a hit. Let's give them a bit of a buff. If they're being reduced by 98%, then they'll only do a maximum of 80 damage on a hit. And remember that that's the maximum, so often it'll be reduced further depending on where it hits in the ship. So that is pretty huge. The second is we have a minus 56% torpedo damage debuff, which means that if you took a 24-inch oxygen torpedo, which has a damage of 6,336, and you reduce that by 56%, so that would be 44. That means their damage is reduced down to 2,787, which is a pretty sizable downgrade. And in actual game, you'll see that there is this is very effective, and 24-inch oxygens are pretty powerful. If you're using something more regular, like a 24-inch standard, which only does 3,200 damage base, that's again being knocked down to about 1,400 damage straight off the bat, and that's if it gets past the torpedo defense system. So it's pretty bad, because the torpedo defense system puts another minus 60% torpedo damage debuff on top. Now, they don't stack quite the way you think they would, but you basically apply a 60% debuff and then a 56% debuff. So that, what was it, 6,300 from the oxygen torp. So let's times that by 0.4, and then... So now you're down to about 1,000 damage off the top-end torpedo. And then you now have another 7.5% torpedo damage reduction from the triple bottom. Oops. Press the wrong button. And now you're down to about... You're getting really down here. By stacking these multiple buffs, torpedo damage is going to be pretty minimal. And lastly, we have this sloped design feature, which is something that I actually didn't know about until I was doing this video. Increases ricochet chance by 154%. Okay, sure. And I think this is partly what is responsible for nonsense like the 18-inch guns getting partial pens against the extended armor, which doesn't exist. Anyway, if you want to build completely unkillable ships and absolutely waltz your way through the campaign, look for the hull that you have access to with the highest resistance, slap turtleback on it, the triple bottom, and torpedo protection 5. Use some semi-oil, and away you go. By absolutely tanking resistance, you can produce some really, really nasty ships. For instance, if I'm just going to slap unlock on. Let's have a look at a cruiser. Which cruiser has the most resistance? 87... 90... 95, that's the Russian supercruiser. The Advanced Armored Cruiser 2, that's German. Yep. Go for this one. Slap on a veteran crew. Don't need that. It's the top speed. 29 knots. Let's make it big. Let's do the beam draft cheating. You can have max both actually, if you want, but you'll go over the cruiser limit. Let's have spacious crew quarters. Let's have forced gas turbines. All the fancy stuff. Now you might be wondering, with the battleship, I had some rather unusual armour fitted, and I will show you how you can abuse that, because the way the game works with that is a little bit funny as well. And I'm making this video in the hopes that it gets fixed. What I'm looking for with this towers is the highest damage control stat, which I think is this one. Looks like an awful Frankenstein's monster of a ship, but okay. I'll shove a funnel on there if we can. Let's go to 28. Guns. They're all Mark 5s. Let's go for 11-inch guns. Gonna have a crazy forward weight offset, aren't we? Is one of the problems with this hull. Actually, you can just leave that there. No, we need to fix that offset a little bit. Torpedo launchers. We're going to bring the 24-inch options, extras. Yes, we'll bring all the things. Bring an RDF as well. Why not? Yeah, let's go triple base, TNT4, standard capitalistics with base view. I'm not doing anything fancy with the shells. I'm just going for a fairly regular setup. I am overweight, but we will fix that in a moment after I show you how you can abuse the armor. So first of all, extended belts, don't need that. Extended deck, we don't need that. Probably don't need any superstructure armor either. Do we need anything on the tower? No, not really. It's not important. Let's have as much armor on the turrets as possible. And then we're going to have as much armor on the belt and deck as possible. So it says 15-inch. And then we're going to max out our inner layers. Like so. Now this is far too heavy. We can't fit this. But a 6-inch inner belt is the absolute maximum that we can fit. So if you set this and then go to the top layer and just type in whatever this is, you get to keep that maximum inner belt. And here we can go 7.2 and we'll just keep it. And let's just make that 7.2 and let's make that 6. Oh, okay. Whoops, I did those the wrong way around. 9. Okay, so 9 inch, 7.2. I keep forgetting 7.2 there. What? Ah, okay, don't type them in like an idiot. So max them all out. Change the first layer to the last layer. You can do this with all or nothing as well, by the way. And then change the main deck to 7.2. And then we change the main belt to 6. So officially, we have a 6-inch belt with a 7.2-inch main deck. Seems perfectly legitimate. Let's go standard bulkheads. Standard crew. And... drop something else that's needlessly heavy. Oh, let's get super heavy shells. What else don't we need? Probably this. This is really heavy. What about changing the engine type? I won't gas turbines because they're very light for what you get. Now dump the RDF. There we go. Don't need that. So here we have a cruiser. It's terrible. Has a terrible offset. It's very expensive. Only has 11-inch guns, and it's up against the same age class that we had before, 18-inch guns, etc., etc., etc. Now, yes, we're not crazy, but look at this resistance. 88% gun damage reduction, 50% torpedo damage plus the others, and 141% slope design. Let's see how she does against a full-on battleship. A nasty battleship as well. This should be a very straightforward fight. Should be. Let's see what we get. Oh, we took a partial pen on the main deck. Yep, seems legit. 7-inch main deck being hit at 21 kilometers by an 18-inch super heavy shell. And it's a partial pen. Sure. That seems reasonable. Oh, look, we got a penetrating hit back. Probably on the superstructure or something. Again, we're just causing partials and the odd pen, the odd fire. The age class is probably quite content to let me come at them. Because they're... well, they might be trying to extend the range so they can go through my deck, but as we've seen, that doesn't actually work. But already, you're starting to get a pretty clear impression of what's happening. We are very slowly destroying their superstructure. They cannot hit back effectively because the 18-inch guns don't have the rate of fire or the accuracy, which is another problem. And even if they do hit us, well, it doesn't do very much. So yeah, if you're wondering why you don't see me using Turtleback, this is why. It is too good. 15% resistance, or in fact the whole the way resistance works and how high you can get it you can really abuse it. You can also abuse the armor system, as I've shown, because those inner decks, and you can do this with the all or nothing scheme as well, with the third layer, which is actually pretty effective. They have drastically better ability to resist enemy fire, the inner layers, because of the way the game calculates it. So, yeah, there's 3 7.2 inch layers on the decks. Good luck, mate. Right, let's try a torpedo shot. This is point blank range for this type of torpedo, by the way. Let's see if we can show off another problem. It's a pretty good shot. Oh, I might actually hit. They're avoiding. 2 hits. Nope. Again, not much damage. The H-class here does have anti-torpedo 5 and triple bottom, I think. Yeah, so it also has really good torpedo damage resistance. But, you know, cruiser got into... this is a cruiser at 3.5 kilometers. Quite happily in torpedo range. Blapping away with its guns quite happily. And yeah, oh no, it took 200 damage on an overpen. Okay, it did cause some flooding. But still, this is ridiculously nonsense. Ah, now I'm taking damage because I rolled because I rolled over, but they fly. What the hell is this, Matt? This should not. Whatever your thoughts are on various bits of naval technology, surely you must agree that this is nonsense, what is happening right now. Because at the moment they're getting 3 belt hits, but if I turn the other way, now that I'm rolling over, just gonna spin a bit. Now they're going to be forced to hit my decks, and they're not going to be able to do anything to me. I took increased flooding, by the way, because of the whatchamacallit, reduced draft. That does increase your flooding chance. Oh, that's pretty good dodge. Oh, not good enough. Ammo debt. Oh, the H-class is now doomed. It has no ammunition because that torpedo hit a magazine. There you go. How to kill a super battleship with a cruiser. And this cruiser, by the way, has taken 31 hits from 18-inch guns. That is a lot. That is a lot of hits from very big guns. And yeah, there's a bit of flooding on the stern. And the steering gear is damaged, and apparently the conning tower is damaged, or the captain got taken out by an errant shell. But the H-class is in a lot worse shape. Like, genuinely, what? What? This is not at all what you would expect. Costs, by the way, 285 million. Plays 1.4 billion. So even the game would consider this to be a rather unusual victory. I can engage the ship on either side now. But if you're wondering what happened when I was started to roll, if you face your deck, so if you're rolling like this, and you face your deck towards the enemy, they will always hit your deck, because there is virtually no belt for them to hit. And because of the way the game's penetration formula works, it's a deck hit at close range, at a pretty sharp angle, so it's not going to do anything. Oh, we got another torpedo shot. You can take it if and when you get it. There we go. All 5? Yep. And you can see here just how battleships can resist an awful lot of torpedo damage if they want to. I only have my HE shells now. But I definitely say that was a mission kill on the old H class here. We still got some torpedoes though. Let's see if we can get her again. I think she's trying to ram me. Speed 12. Just waiting for the torpedo to reload very slowly. Alright, fire them when you get them. Do 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 do. Away we go. Nice. Bit more flooding. Which they're keeping on top of. This thing does have maximum bulkheads, after all. And they do still have 2 engines available. So it will take some time to sink this thing, but I think I've kind of proven my point that yeah, if you want to take out a H-class type ship with a cruiser, you absolutely can. And this is absolute nonsense. I mean, if you took the guns off and, like, if you're doing this in a one-on-one and loaded this thing up with torpedoes rather than just a single quintuple on each side, yeah, easy. You can easily get into range without the battleship being able to take you out and unload a bunch of torpedoes. There's so many ways you can abuse the this resistance mechanic, but I thought it was funny to show off this is a complete ship. Okay, yeah, it doesn't have secondaries, but still. And secondaries on the H class wouldn't make any difference. Before you say anything, 5-inch guns are not going to do anything to this ship either. Yeah, very, very weird things going on. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this little look at some of the things that I think I would love the devs to have a look at. It comes from a place of love. Please look at these things that kind of ruin the immersion and are a little bit annoying in the late game. If you're playing a campaign, the AI will start doing this kind of thing, building these really high resistance ships, and you can't do anything about them. you can't. There's no way. There's no counter to this type of rubbish. You can't do it with guns. You can't do it with torpedoes. It's not very fun. And I want the game to just be better, get better and better and better. Anyway, hopefully the 110 campaign will go onto the live branch very soon, and I can start playing some campaign again. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Bye for now.